Okay, we'll call the regular meeting of council for October 12th to order at 3 p.m. Short agenda today, so I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Masterman. The council adopt the agenda for this regular council meeting October 12th as presented.
I'd be happy to do that, Mayor Snodgrass. Thank you.
All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor McMillan that following are adopted by omnibus motion in accordance with council's procedure bylaw, September 27th special council minutes, September 27th regular council minutes, and the strategic priorities.
I'll give you that motion.
Go. All in favor? Carried. No public comments, Jody?
No public comments.
Thank you. And we'll move right into Chris with the distribution of funds from filming use, the only agenda item we actually have.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I'll use that in the last meeting for that purpose.
It's
just getting used to it. So council had tabled this to bring it back after getting some further details on the vision of the funds associated with $100,000 being provided to us by the movie The Last of Us for the use of the Beechwood lands. So there's been several emails kind of floating around there out there from members of council about what Spitzy Playground actually requires and what they are lacking, and we wanted to bring this back for discussion to see if there is consensus to move forward with a split or dedication to one particular project or multiple projects of the $100,000 that is being provided to us by the filming company. As a follow-up, where Spitzy Playground is, and I forwarded a newspaper article that reaffirmed it, that probably explains it the simplest way possible, is that they're getting close to the amount of money they need to apply for their matching grant. Their total project's $350,000 in total. They've got just under 100,000, and they're looking to get to close to that $120,000 range to submit for a matching grant to continue fundraising. And that newspaper article explained it quite simply, much better than I could in writing. And so that's kind of where they sit right now. And same with the bike park. Bike park is just, I think they're just around $100,000 mark. And their total project is about the $150,000 to $200,000 range. So both are in need of some funds, and so I'll open that up for council discussion and debate. As we've highlighted previously, our policy states that film revenue is split between going to our public art policy by 50% and to CVAC with 50% of the funding as well. So that would have to be waived or varied under the special circumstance. And we've got a motion ready to go once council decides how the split actually takes place, or if there is even a split to discuss. So thank you, Mayor Snodgrass.
We'll open it up for discussion. So number one, to clarify why this is even coming to us, is the Last of Us film company was very clear, and with the high dollar amount that that we were asking for from them for the use of those lands, that they were very clear that they wanted this to be put towards a legacy, like a big legacy project or projects that were dedicated to the children of High River was the big part of how this affects we deal with this money, because there was some asks from the film company as to how to distribute these funds. So we'll open it up for questions. First up, Councillor Masterman, please.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. I don't like going first all the time, but I'm always afraid, what if nobody else puts their hand up? And I hadn't seen any hands. So I've got a couple of questions for Chris, and as part of the getting the set ready for the production, I know 3 trees had to come down, and I believe the town was compensated for those trees, and I'm wondering if you could just touch on that, Chris, a little bit, and say whether the compensation for those trees is actually part of this $100,000 or whether it's extra.
Thank you, Councillor Masterman. The compensation for those 3 trees is above the $100,000. So the agreement to remove those 3 trees, I believe it was $1,000 per tree, if I recall correctly. And that would be in addition to the 100K that is proposed or planned to be received under the agreement.
Okay, and those, just to clarify, those were the only trees that were taken down, correct?
The only ones besides where they've been building some of their structures that they get a little bit of small level brushing. And that's about the only thing.
Okay, thanks, Chris. I'm just curious too,
Councillor Masterman, can I just interrupt? I just got confirmation from Janelle that we received $15,000 for the trees.
Okay, 15 per tree or 15 total?
In total.
Okay, sorry, was that 15,000?
15,000, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
they amended their agreement, yeah.
So like 5,000 a tree?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nicer, thank you. And I hope I'm not totally out to lunch on this next question, but I know when there is a production in town, that part of that money does go to the community vitality funds to be dispersed, and some to public art. And I don't recall, and again, I really hope I'm not out to lunch on this question, but I don't recall in all the budgets that we've ever dealt with that there was ever a complete and clear accounting of, this production was in town, this is how much they paid, this is, how much in total was brought in over the year, and this is how it's being distributed. Am I wrong, Chris, or have I just missed the boat?
Councillor Masterman, that's a good question. I do believe there is accounting. We do get $1,000 as per the policy, $1,000 per day when they're actually filming in town. And that money is, as per the policy, gets allocated and split up to CVAC and to our public art fund. The public art fund has been growing over this last several years. And so that fee does get accounted for. It's not highlighted because usually it's not a huge number, on the number of days that we are actually filming. We also do receive an economic impact report typically from all the film companies about what their overall economic impact that they've forecasted would be within the community. So how much that they've used at restaurants, those types of things that we receive after filming. So I can't recall the exact amount that last year after Black Summer, how much money we allocated 50% to those funds and how that was reported back in the budget.
Okay, thanks. And if I can, Mayor Snodgrass, really quickly, one last question. I know it's up to council to allocate this the 100,000, or are we going with 115,000 now? But I know it's up to council, but I'm just wondering, Chris, in your dealings, you and your staff, your dealings with the production company, whether they had a preference whether that money go towards one legacy project, or if they kind of were saying, we'll leave it up to you guys to figure out how it's distributed.
With this specific production company, The Last of Us, the conversation was never about a specific project, but they wanted to have some lasting benefit to the community. And so that was the conversation that we had, that I had in early July with the production location assistant or location finder, I guess. And they wanted to see something that would have a lasting benefit to the community that could be there for years to come. So if you want to term that a legacy project, they weren't necessarily one specific project or two or three, whatever council felt appropriate to have some kind of lasting effect that could have a potentially some recognition if they wanted to push that opportunity. So.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much, Chris.
In terms of the 15,000, Bruce, I think that should go to the go through the actual policy. The 100K was the one that we agreed on to these projects. The 15K is in my mind is separate and should go between CVAC and the Public Art Fund. So that's my opinion. Chris?
The 15K actually goes to our tree budget.
Going to the tree budget. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Kill a tree. Goes to the tree budget. All right. I don't know who was up first. I've got Kathy first on my list. So.
Thanks, Chris Snodgrass, and thanks, Chris. Both the projects we've talked about so far, the pump track and Spitzy School are both near and dear to my heart. I haven't had to go to the bottle depot for a long time because Spitzy hits my bottles, and I've got a lot of fundraising stuff in my freezer. So I guess what I would where I'm struggling a little bit, and I can today I can be as wishy-washy as I want because this is it. But what I want us to think about, or my thought process is that I don't want to see us split this money up. When you look at the big projects we have, I don't want to see us split the money up too far that none of these groups are that much closer to their goal. I think a significant amount of money and a good ingestion of money that would get them pretty close. Where I'm getting at is I really would like to see the community realize something from these funds in the near future. And I think the two projects, Spitzy and the pump track, are the closest, but the Spitzy is dependent on some grants. So I guess where I'm leaning towards is the lion's share of this funding going towards the pump track.
Thanks, Kathy. Councillor McMillan.
Mayor Snodgrass, and thank you very much, Chris, for your presentation. A couple of questions I have is, first of all, how much money is in the Public Art Fund?
Certainly, the last time I checked, as part of the budget process for 2021, we were just around the $100,000.
Okay, thank you. And so when art and culture related projects come forward, is it automatically going to CVAC, or is there some consideration of a Public Art Fund kind of grant?
I think it depends on the proposal. We haven't, since I've been here, haven't really seen a firm art proposal outside of a mural program come forward. And so I think that's certainly something that we could do a better job with that public art policy money, is making people aware that there is opportunities there for sculptures or additional murals or expansion of the mural program that could be utilized from that perspective. So I think, like I say, COVID's been a major roadblock for sure in any of those kind of programs. But since I've been here since 2019, I haven't seen any significant funding requests come directly to that public art program, nor have we had a proposal internally from staff for a public art program.
And I mean, one suggestion, I know the Arts and Culture Advisory Group was disbanded, but in the future, when you are doing your board and group analysis, I think that has a good niche so that there is that art awareness, because a lot of times artists don't know that there's perhaps some funding, or even how to go about approaching the town formally, right? And then I guess my other question would be, I'm in agreement with Councillor Cooey that I think I'm just wanting clarification. When we had our casual kind of committee, the whole discussion, were we thinking about 80,000 to the pump track and 20,000 to the playground? Is that what we were at?
That was the numbers that was bantied about in our cow meeting discussion. It bounced between 75-25 to 80-20. And there is direction to go back and get additional information about where Spitzy actually is to firm that up. And so that's what this is, the follow-up, and to be held in an open council meeting so we can make a decision how that gets allocated. So, and one other thing I want to point out to council too, the public art policy is dated and old. It does need quite a bit of work to get updated. So there is additional work that needs to be done to really expand its scope a bit and to make it more accessible to the wider community.
Right. So just regarding Spitzy Playground, is the 20,000 going to get them to their goal, or do they need the 25?
I believe that gets them, I think that gets them really close to their goal of, I think they were looking for 125. I think that this gets us to the 119-ish range. And for them to push to that 125, it doesn't stop them from applying for their grant, but it certainly shows the intent. And we've also already provided additional $20,000 to the Spitzy area group through our CVAC funding as well. So
Right.
This whatever the number is, it'll be between 40 and 40, whatever. I'm presupposing that's between 75 and 80%. If it's 80%, it'll be $40,000 that the town has allocated to them through different funding streams, or $45,000.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'm not sure if I got the answer to the question that Carol was asking, Chris. What does Spitzy School Ground need to get them to the point where they can make the matching grant application and get that project done?
I think they were targeting that 120 to 125 range.
And where are they at today?
According to the article, the information that I just received was they're around the $100,000.
Okay, so if we were to give them the 25, that would get them to the point where they need to be in order to do the matching grant. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think the 25 would stop them from getting the matching grant, but it would certainly help them further. If that makes sense.
I guess I'm with the rest of council in that I want to see a project complete out of this. And if it takes 25 to get it complete, then that's what I'd like to see happen. If it's 20, then fine. And the rest go to the pump track. But I'll wait to hear from Councillor Moore and we'll go forward from there. Thank you.
Go ahead, Don.
Thank you. I'm with the other councillors that I think that it should be major split for the pump track. I think that, Chris, the numbers that you gave us didn't seem to be quite accurate, in that I think that they're at 120,000 right now that they've raised, but they need, apparently the project is $250,000. So I think that they may have cut back on some of the things and maybe got some volunteer work in and brought it down to 200,000, but that was the last amount that we did. And according to their graph on the fence at the Spray Park location, it's 120,000 in that area that they've raised so far. So I'm thinking that they need 80,000 plus for completion of the project. And my understanding, and I could be totally wrong on that as well, is that for the Spitzy playground, they've got it in phases, and they do have enough dollars for phase one now. But the more money they get, of course, would go over to phase 2, but it would also put them in a position to apply for a larger matching grant. The more money they have there, the more matching they will get. So, but my final analysis that I would be totally in favor of an 80-20 split for the pump track. I think that will get them well on their way to completing and providing that service to the community within the next year.
Thanks, Don. Councillor Neitchuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Where am I trying to go with this? My understanding from the last meeting was that, as Councillor Moore said, that the Spitzy group had enough money to begin their first phase or complete their first phase. And then they were going on to try and raise funds for the completion of the project. So we got a lot of numbers thrown around there. The way I've been looking at this is there's between the pump track and Spitzy, 2 outstanding projects for the community. One being Spitzy has, shall we say, they're better positioned to raise funds over the pump track. And I'm saying that because you've got a school of X number of kids supporting this, and you've got essentially 2 people that have really put themselves forward at the pump track. I know they've got other people, and I don't want to leave out, you know, the small handful of an army that they have that's trying to put this thing forward. But their ability to raise funds is much more difficult. They've tried to apply for all kinds of government grants, which have seemingly led them to a closed road, being the type of organization that they are. So I'm like everybody else. I want to see a project to completion, and splitting the funds between 2 has me concerned that we give money to 2 and neither of them see the finish line at this point. So I'm leaning towards, not leaning towards, I'm totally supportive of the pump track getting the 100,000 because that's what they need to finish. They need $98,000 and change to finish their project. That comes from Jeff Hamilton. I'm not sure we have the exact numbers from Spitz, and not to say that they don't have them, but here we are talking about it and we don't have the exact numbers in front of us. So I'm definitely in favor of the money going to the pump track to finish the project. That doesn't mean that I'm not supportive of Spitzy. But if they're looking at a significant playground revamp, and I thought the number was 350,000, not 250, we still, as a community and the council that will be coming in to play after the 18th, still has the ability to plan and help that project going into its second phase in the coming year or couple years after. So I don't think we'd be abandoning that. We've already given a significant contribution in the 20,000. And I would be happy to do that again in the future if I happen to be sitting on council to support that. I just really want to see something done. I don't want to see projects that get funding that get them almost to the finish line. That's not the finish line. So I need to know that the money that we're giving to Group A or B gets them to the finish line. I don't want to leave anything to chance outside of that. It needs to be completed. I want to see a project completed. Sorry, I've kind of gone on. I'll leave it at that.
So, Councillor Neitchuk, I can provide some clarity on the Spitzy aspect of things. To date, well, I shouldn't say to date. As of September 30th, they had raised $99,000 of funds and in-kind services to allow them to match to the, I think it's called the Community Facility Enhancement Program. Their overall project, phase 1 and phase 2, is a $350,000 total project. Phase 1 is a $250,000 project. The grant application would match dollar for dollar what they've raised to date, and their goal was to get above that $100,000 mark somewhere to get as much matching funding up to the 100 mark. I think the cap is $125,000 on the grant, I think. And then that would give them the phase 1 of the playground enhancement. Phase 2 is replacement of the swing sets and an outdoor classroom at the Spitzy Playground is their concept. Now that concept can change, of course. So that's kind of the detail of the 3 significant numbers. And it has been, from all the emails that have been floated me, trying to synthesize what is what, because they're trying to leverage this funding to get a grant of to total up to $250,000. So far, they've got $99,000 that they've raised over the last, 11 or 12 months. And by April next year, they would like to have that 125 and the matching grant in hand so they can proceed with the $250,000 project. Does that provide further clarity?
That provides further clarity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And coming back to that, we've got a group that can access matching funding, and we've got a group that can't access funding. They're going solely on their own to raise the funds. So thank you, Chris.
Councillor Cooey.
Thanks, Mayor Stardust. Just, Chris, a quick question, just because the internet issues, which it shows me and mine is unstable right now. What was the dollar amount Spitzy has raised to date? Maybe you can't hear me.
It was 99,000, Kathy.
Thanks, Carol. And I guess I just wanted to offer just to, again, I think Chris touched on this, but just a little bit clarification. I think for groups in the past and groups going forward that have put initiatives into playground, this money that's coming to us is an anomaly. This is a one-time opportunity for us. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chris or Mayor Snodgrass, that, typically community projects or school projects like this, the town gets involved how they can, but this is an anomaly. This is kind of money that has come to us one time, and typically these projects like this are community led, and the town gets involved in various ways in the decision of the council. But I guess just trying to be clear that this isn't something budgeted going forward and available for the community groups. So this is a one-time thing.
And sorry, Councillor Cooey, I couldn't get my computer off mute. So, and thank you, Councillor McMillan, for highlighting the amount. And yes, you're right, Councillor Cooey, it is a one-time. We don't expect this kind of cash to be flowing into our hands to share around the community again, besides the $1,000 a day for filming within our community. So that's this is a unique opportunity and a unique one-time opportunity to have some benefit that sees one of these projects or both of these projects proceed to the next level.
Okay, Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. So the last point would be that each dollar that we give to Spitzy is actually going to come back $2 because it's a matching grant program, and we'll get them to the finish of that first part of it. The other part is that we're going to be, in doing the split, we're going to be doing something for the north side of High River as well as the south side. So both areas of town are going to benefit from this. I don't see a motion on the floor. Are you looking for a motion, Mayor?
I'll put a motion on the floor as soon as I can get in here.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
I look at this, not so much as the north and the south being able to benefit from it, but we've, and I understand what you're saying, Michael, but we've got two groups of community-led or citizens of this town that are trying to get these two projects done. And yes, the Spitzy's maybe got a little bit more, but we're also putting 80% of this money to the pump track as well. So let me get to the motion. So ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that the town received funds in the amount of $100,000 for use of the Beechwood area filming from film production company, The Last of Us. And whereas council wishes for these funds to be distributed outside of the use of the public realm policy, ECDEV POL 100-00, which designates funds are to be distributed 50% to CVAC and 50% to Public Arts Fund. Due to the request of the film company that the funds be used for a large legacy project for the children of High River, so be it resolved that council direct the funds received for the use of the Beechwood area filming from The Last of Us as follows: 80% to the High River Pump Track and 20% to the Spitzy Home and School Association Playground.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I will give you that motion.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, amendments? See none, I hear none. All in favor? Motion carries 80-20 split. Thank you all. A couple of pieces, council correspondence, thank you card from Robert and Myrna, and then the Museum of the Highwood anniversary. And Jody, I think you wanted to speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. The Museum of the Highwood was unable to attend today as a delegation. So they did send in this letter, and because it is a celebration of their 60th anniversary, I just wanted to read it so that it was presented to all of council. So, dear Mayor Snodgrass and councillors, we are very proud and excited to be celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Museum of the Highwood on October 12, 2021, which is today. Although we have had to postpone most of our planned celebrations, we would like to formally thank and acknowledge all those who have supported the museum over the years. After the successful publication and launch of Leaves, the Medicine Tree Powwow Committee and the High River Pioneers and Old Timers decided that a museum was also needed to further present and preserve the amazing history of the Highwood area. The committee met on September 9th, 1961 and passed a motion to rent the former Eamon's Saddlery store on 3rd Avenue Southwest for a museum. Artifacts and artworks were borrowed from the Glenbow Museum and the community. Volunteers, including Glenbow employees Don King, Archaeology Department, and Don Tanis, a summer student, set up the displays. The museum opened just over a month later on October 12, 1961. The museum was forced to vacate the building when the land was acquired for urban renewal. However, in 1972, the town of High River purchased the former CPR station on 1st Street Southwest, and the museum moved in. The official opening was on May 24, 1972. Not only did the museum survive and thrive, it also created a remarkable history of its own. In spite of unexpected traumatic events, including a fire in 2010, a flood in 2013, and now a pandemic, the museum has continued to adapt to challenges and changing times and remains at the heart of the community as a popular and welcoming destination for tourists and local visitors. Thousands of people have enjoyed outstanding exhibits, programs, and special events, including several generations of students. The Museum of the Highwood would never have reached this milestone as one of the oldest and most successful museums in Alberta without the support and dedication of the pioneers of High River, who had the foresight to establish the museum, and all those who have shared their precious stories, the staff members who have worked so hard over the years with skill and passion for the preservation and presentation of our history. This includes many enthusiastic summer students who have acquired valuable career experience and lasting friendships and memories. The many volunteers who have generously donated their time and talents for events, disaster recovery, and the ongoing successful operations of the museum. The volunteers who have served on the board of directors and guided the museum through some very trying times. The provincial and federal governments for grants for special projects and to hire summer students. The citizens of High River and the Highwood area, members and donors who have continued to support the museum for all these years. The town of High River, staff, administration, mayors, councillors, and museum council representatives past and present for their ongoing assistance and for allowing us to care for and share this beautiful heritage building with our visitors. We look forward to the future and continue to tell the stories of our past and present and to carefully maintain our history for future generations. We sincerely thank you and send best wishes. And that is signed by Irene Kerr and Leisha Cotton Cornwall, the board chair. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jody. Nothing else on the agenda. So because it's our last council meeting of this term, I'll just open the floor up if there's anybody that wants to say anything, but maybe instead of that, I'll start it. Number one, I want to thank each and every one of you as members of this council the last 4 years or 4 to 8 years. I think, Michael, you've been with us 6 years, I guess. Carol, the last 4, and the rest of you, well, Dawn, you've been here since, I'll just leave that an open-ended question. Jamie, you as well. I know you took a break there for the first 4 years of my term, but came sliding back in gracefully again. So I just want to say kudos to all of you for putting your hand up and being a part of this arena. And as it's election season right now, we're seeing that these are not easy positions in this community or any community to take on. It's one of those things where I always tell the candidates that are running right now is that right now is the easy part. You put your helmet on the day after you're elected, because that's when things get real serious. And I want to thank all of you for the way you've conducted yourselves and made this a very, very easy 8 years for me. And the past 4 years have been fantastic with this exact group, and you've all made and dealt with the tough decisions. And I mean everything from dealing with getting negotiations done with building berms to protect this town so that we can move forward, and dealing with those situations, but also dealing with just more normal stuff like the golf course issue that we dealt with, that I know was a very, very hard thing for some of us to go through. But at the end of the day, what I do know is that you all made and we're here to make the tough decisions for the betterment of all of High River. No interests of it all on a personal matter. It was all just for High River and what was the best. So, our little motto of making a positive difference now and for generations to come, the thing that I look back at most over the last 4 to 8 years is that we have done exactly that. And I commend all of you for sticking to that mindset to make decisions for this community. So well done. Enjoy your time, your freedom. Dawn, Carol, Kathy, and Bruce, Michael and Jamie, best of luck to get back in here. And thank you again to all of us, and thanks to all of our administration for the past 8 years. It's been an amazing ride, and we've all learned a lot. So thanks for being part of it. I'll go to Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Your Worship, Mayor Snodgrass. I have to get one more in as well. I reiterate all the things that you've said, Craig, and except for the fact that you said it's been real easy being the mayor and as a council, because the last 8 years have been very, very difficult, but it's been made easier for sure by all of the councillors that we have now. It's the best group that I've ever been involved with. And it's when I look around Alberta and some of the councils that are in existence, it's really difficult sometimes with people fighting amongst themselves and stuff like that to accomplish anything. And I think that we have all accomplished a great deal for our community over the years of our service. And it's gratifying and nice to go out with that. It's going to still be very difficult times ahead. When you listen to the museum letter, that they did go through that fire, we went through the fire as a council and had to do all sorts of extra things to rescue a lot of the artifacts and do a number of things. And that was all followed up by the flood and the time when we could not even get into council chambers. We had to have meetings all over High River, from the high school auditorium to the golf club, to all different locations. And it was just great to be back in council chambers and get some aspects of normality. And then we were hit by a pandemic after we went through a lot of years of cleaning up a very big mess and making it safe for the future of all of the residents. So it's actually been the longest time that I've been out of council chambers. I kind of miss that, but we've all gone through a lot of things, but we've accomplished great things. Thank you to Craig for excellent leadership and his direction. And I'm so happy that we have Chris now to guide the town for the future. So we can walk away and say, Chris, it's all on your shoulders. You're going to have a big job ahead of you. And hopefully you will have a very supportive and good council to take High River in the direction that it needs to be. But I sure want to thank each and every one of you for being like a family and being supportive and helpful in so many aspects. And I think we've given High River a very good thing, even though there's sometimes lots of complaints. You never know, maybe there will be something for these people to actually complain about if they don't get the right counsel. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the future and continue working for building and making High River better. So thanks.
Thanks, Don. Councillor Masterman.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. And it's tough to follow Councillor Moore with his 14 years, I believe it is, experience, 4 terms on council. I kind of unlike what I usually do, I had to write down my comments because I was afraid I was going to forget something and maybe get too emotional if I didn't. So I just did want to start by saying thanks to the residents of High River who twice put their trust in me to represent them on council. It's a huge honor, and I really feel blessed to have the opportunity to serve residents, serve this town. And also thanks to Chris Prosser and all the staff of the town of High River for ensuring that we had the information we needed to make the best decisions on behalf of residents, to ensure that the needs of residents were being delivered in the best way possible, and when they weren't, to act on that. And definitely a special nod of appreciation to Chris for the solid leadership of the staff and the gentle nudges and guidance that you showed council. And again, just kind of showing us a way to go and leaving it up to us to decide which way we wanted to do. Certainly a million thanks to the 2 councils on which I've served, Dragon and Peter, Emil Blockland, Kathy, Dawn, Carol, Jamie, Michael. It's just been incredible to work with you all. I think it's really important that and we did work well. We are very different people, and we all bring different gifts to this role. And I loved how we respected that in each other. We certainly didn't always agree on issues. We're not supposed to, but we always had respectful debate, and still considered each other's friends at the end of the meeting. I thank you all for putting up with my passion, which was sometimes informed and based on fact, and sometimes it was just plain old passion. During our times of virtual meetings, you put up with my not so great poker face, which was a dead giveaway as to how I actually felt about an issue well before we voted on it. Having said that, I thank you all for sometimes showing me the error of my ways, convincing me that, perhaps I don't know everything and I was wrong in my initial assessment, and it was time to change my vote. And thanks also for the gentle guidance, trying to convince me to take off my self-appointed superhero cape and maybe think about things a little bit more before I say something or write something, and ground myself in fact, which is a good thing to do. But it didn't always come easy for me. And so I really, my heartfelt thanks to you all. My best wishes for whatever the future holds, whether it's another turn at council for Jamie and Michael, and dare I say, I hope that happens, or other life adventures for Carol, Kathy, and Dawn. Finally, I'd really like to thank, I can't call you Mayor Snodgrass. I really want to thank Craig for your leadership over the last 2 years. You led this council with passion, with transparency, with firmness when needed, and sometimes what I really appreciated was some really necessary humor to try to get us through things. When you put up your hand 8 years ago to run for mayor, Craig, you followed in your father's footsteps, but you certainly did not serve in his shadow. You had your own brand of leadership, one that has served this council and this town really well. I wish you every success in next week's election. I have a pretty good idea that or certainly my hope that the voters of High River will choose level-headed responsibility and vision for all residents over the alternative. And lastly, I thank all the candidates who have put their names forward. As Craig mentioned, it's not an easy thing to do, and I have every confidence that the voters will make the right decisions next Monday. So thanks to you all, and it really has been a ride. So.
Very much, Bruce. I've got Kathy on my list next. Is that the right order? Yeah, okay.
Thanks for this opportunity. Incredibly unprepared and having to follow Bruce. Good for you, Bruce, to think Craig would give us this opportunity. I should have, and I appreciate that. First of all, to this group here, and Craig in particular, I'm going to start with you. I've said right out of the chute, you were the right guy for the right time, and you have proven that. And I believe you are continuing to be the right guy for our community going forward. Being on this journey with you has been fun. It has been challenging, and it has been incredibly rewarding. And I know that our two dads would be very, very proud of us. To this group, to the council members from both councils, we've heard time and time again that we are not the typical council. That means we are not the typical municipality. And that is probably some of the proudest words that I've heard. I believe that makes us a better organization. It will make us a better community. And I hope that councils going forward are not afraid to think outside of the box, are not afraid to do things differently just because they've been done that way forever. And it's time for the world of municipalities to change. And I hope that we will be leaders in that and continue to do that. To each and every one of you, you have taught me something that I will take forward from this journey, and I hope and I know will make me a better person for that. Chris and this incredible staff, thank you for your patience and in breaking me in. I think there's still been topics this term that there's been a lot of learning. There absolutely has been, and your willingness to talk me and walk me through these topics and these important decisions we've had to make. Our staff is dedicated, they are passionate, and I know it's not always easy working for a municipality. You're always under a critical eye, but know that the majority of the people out there appreciate your work and know that it's also incredibly impactful. To the residents of this community for giving me the privilege to serve this community that I love so much for 8 years. A big thank you to them. So thank you to all, and I will certainly miss this. Has been one of the most rewarding,
Thanks, Kathy. Carol.
Thank you very much. Well, hard acts to follow. It's first of all, it's been such a tremendous honor for me to serve the community. I thank the wonderful residents and business people, just all of the citizens of this wonderful town. When I was elected 4 years ago, I was quite nervous because I was the newbie, and the incumbents all had a very tremendously strong bond, and Jamie had already been a councillor. But I want to thank everyone for easing my transition in. I think we all kind of hit the ground running, because even the group in 2013, as Craig mentioned, you didn't really know what normal council routine was after dealing so successfully with the flood stuff and whatnot. It's been an immense honor and pleasure, and I've appreciated the fact that we have diverse views. And as previous council members have said, we've always ended things very respectfully and tactfully. And I've heard wonderful feedback throughout my 4 years from other municipalities about how class act we are in High River. So, and I think that's something that we can all hold very dear. I wish all of you success in whatever the future holds. And for me, I'm just kind of hoping something presents itself, just the universe, how it works out. But it's been a delight. So thank you all very much. Oh, and I should say, sorry, I forgot. And I wanted to just say to administration and staff, thank you very much for your patience in dealing with us. And I really appreciate the orientation when I think 4 years ago, and also the very pleasant conversations. I always felt very welcome when I would come to the town hall. So thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Jamie?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'm hoping to be back, so I'll continue to call you that. I don't want to get mucked up with that worship thing. Anyhow, it's hard to say much more than what's already been said. This has been a really great group of people to work with. And Craig, you talked about it the other night, integrity, honesty, and transparency. And I think that's this entire council has lived that throughout the 4 years of our term. I do want to mention Riley and Nicole, who I see on screen here, for their help during that little span there where we did not have a CAO, and worked with us to keep us in line until Chris came on board. Thank you to you two. I know that's not always an easy job. I want to thank all of you for some of the laughs. I mean, we've had some really good laughs. We've had some great learnings, and I promise I won't say the word mouth guard ever again. Thank you.
I'll remind you. first thing to bring a new council up to speed on, if we're lucky. Thanks, Jamie. Councillor Nychuk.
Well, I'm not going to let it go, but thank you, Your Worship. It's been an honor to serve with you folks, an absolute honor. It's been an honor to serve the community. I hope to be there again and continue the good work that we've all done and carry that legacy forward. For all of you that are going to watch from the wings now, I know you'll be around and I know you'll be providing all the support that you can. So whether I'm there or whether it's a whole new group of people, I hope that we can continue to be High Riverites in that regard. We have an incredible community of people and a strong bond together. So I hope we can continue that legacy that's been there for many years going forward. So this was just a thank you to all of you. I appreciate you all and wish you all well, and proud to call you my friends.
Thanks, Michael. That's everybody. Good to go. Thanks very much. Last meeting for sure for 4 of you. I'll call it adjourned at 3:56. Thank you very much.